We do not make decisions on things that unless we're asked. Well, I should let me pull that back a little bit. Like if we don't know what to do, we don't make a decision. How about that? How about that? So whenever there is a piece of content that is so good that I see in the feed and somebody doesn't tell people what to do and they're not getting comments or they're not getting as many as what they would have, I go, all you had to do was ask. Like just tell them what to do. Welcome to the Limitless podcast, the show where women entrepreneurs become radically aware of their limiting beliefs, learn to value their worth, generate wealth, and to thrive as a magnetic brand leader. I'm your host, Jamie Ratermann, a six-figure holistic business coach. I've helped over 100 rebellious entrepreneurs master marketing, embody leadership, and say fuck it to the hustle. Let's dive in. Hello, lovelies, and welcome to another episode of the Limitless podcast. We're going to talk about something that's one of my favorite subjects. I did not know that my career was going to be able to be this creative, to be able to be this fun and talking about people's stories. In general, my obsession, love of content has a lot to do with that. I want everyone to see their social media as their own way to kind of build their own little biography, that we don't have to publish books. We don't have to have ghostwriters. We get to share our perspectives on life through our social media channels. And it's one of the many goals that I kind of have within my business to think about this. So we're going to talk about content today. It's what it is. We're going to talk about content. Ultimately, you can't talk about entrepreneurship without hearing the word content. I gotta create more content. I gotta get better at content. Content. It's you hear it all the time. The truth is that marketing a business today, no matter if you are in publishing or not, it requires content. Creating content builds trust, authority. It ultimately allows somebody who wants to buy from you to decide, yep, they're right for me, or I want to be a fan of theirs. I want to follow along with them. Content is going to do all of those things. Blame the internet, but we as consumers are making better decisions with our money because we trust the businesses. We know their mission. We know what they're about based off of the content they provide. And the ones who embrace content, the ones who are putting it out there are the ones that are the ones that are going to win. Now, within that, there's something that people get hung up on. So let's say you're walking into this episode going, yeah, James, I hear you. I know content's important. Why do we get hung up on this idea of quote unquote good content? That's the number one question I probably get asked. Number one question. I feel like it's an easy thing to say, my number one question, but it is definitely in the top five. It's definitely in the top five of like, oh, I want it to be good. What's good? What makes this good content or what doesn't? So I'm going to answer a couple of the. So I'm going to answer this frequent question that I get in a bit of layers. So everyone on YouTube is getting a different experience, but the idea is that we're going to build a pyramid together today in this episode where we have a foundation that's our long one, which I want to start with, and we're going to keep building on top of it. So if you cannot use the last piece that I'm telling you about good content without the bottom, or it all kind of falls apart. That's the idea. We're building a pyramid together so that you understand that the 7 principles I'm about to share is that if you can't do the last one without also having the first one. Like they build on each other. That's the goal. Again, if you're listening on Spotify or on Apple in general, all I'm doing over here is we are creating a little ladder. Imagine me creating a little triangle of how we're trying to put this together. Okay. So let's talk about the pyramid that makes good content. So at our base, where we're getting started, every piece of content needs to have this first one here. So good content is content that you actually want to make. I can hear you all rolling your eyes. But content that you actually want to make. This is the point I want to make, especially for my solopreneurs, my small businesses. It's important for the people in the business to be a part of the content. And even more so, that it's going to be content that you want to create. Content creation is absolutely an energy exchange. So you want to make sure that you enjoy it. You don't want to only choose topics that make quote unquote sense for your industry or for your ideal client, because you're going to find that they're watered down, they feel cookie cutter, they don't feel like you. The authenticity that people like to talk about, being genuine in their content, has a lot to do with if we feel attached to that content. We enjoy that content ourselves before we press post. So having some element where you're like, yeah, I really want to share this, or I wanted to write this, I wanted to get this out there, is important. Even within this, because it does sound like I'm just talking about mindset right now, but even within this, the more that you can dedicate your content pillars, the way in which you show up to things that you actually want to do, it's going to frame who you are as a brand just as much. So I like to use the example of how many people in my industry would say that you should absolutely do, here's the trending audios for the reels right now. Like that's a cookie cutter trend that everyone uses. And I can tell you that if I made that a regular part of my content, I wouldn't want to do it. It wouldn't be fun for me because it's just like it's a tactic. It's something really small that if I was going to spend my time doing, it wouldn't be fun for me. I would if I had if I had somebody that was I have like people who help me with editing and stuff like that. I want to be clear. But I if I was looking at my content counter, like, you guys do it. I don't want to do that. That's not what you want. You want the person who's running your business to want to put out the content. That's what at the basic level is going to make it genuine and authentic, because you have your own buy-in first. So at our base, good content is content that you want to actually create. Second one, we're moving our way up. Content that is actually posted. Content that is posted. So for any of you that right now aren't posting your content, you don't need to go any further. I want you to make sure that you find pieces of content in categories that you actually want to create and that you know you're going to post. And you don't have to listen to the rest of this podcast. Maybe pause it, come back later when you're ready. But I want these two things to be the things that you do. I want 10 B plus, hell, C plus posts to get out there before you move forward. I want you to post at least 10 times that is imperfect so that we know that you're visible, so that we're out there. I will take B plus posts, 10 B plus posts over one perfect, clear, quality video, whatever it might be, any day of the week. And I can tell you that if you embrace this, you're going to be more likely to grow. You're going to be more likely to get visible. You're going to be more likely to convert people, because simply getting out there does a couple of things. You are going to increase your skills by practicing. And when I say people, like when people talk to me about, okay, I practice, I put it together and I never press post. I want to say, I want you to practice in a way that's posted. So your goal is to have posted practice with your content. Posted practice. Sounds so weird to say. Posted practice, right? So the more that you put out, quote unquote, B plus work, that is, maybe you didn't tell the story as perfect as you think you could. Maybe the video has a little bit of weird editing to it. Maybe the carousel isn't as perfect as the designers that you have next. I want you to keep putting it out there. I want you to get over the hump of not pressing post. I want you to know that the more that you do it, the more you're going to be that A plus poster. The more you're going to be that high quality person. This is a large reason of why, or at least the initial objective of the content sprint community, is that while I am not in there guiding them the whole time, I am in there making sure that they set a goal, they do the goal, and they post. And if they get stuck, I'm there to help them. Because the idea is the more you put out, the more likely you're going to get the desired response back, the desired results back. So, like I said, if these two things aren't happening right now, you can pause this episode. I'm giving you the keys that you can pause the episode. I want you to do content you like. I want you to look forward to creating it. And I want you to put out at least 10 imperfect posts before you continue. I'm sure my podcast editor is gonna be like, what the hell? Are you telling them not to finish the episode? All right, so we are starting from that foundation. Those are our first two rungs of this beautiful pyramid we're creating. Next one is you want your content to educate, inspire, or relate to an ideal client of some kind. So many of you, if you've been in the interwebs and listening to all of the gurus, you'll hear them say educate, inspire, entertain. I switched that last one to relate because that's the point. When with content, ultimately these principles are to help you connect. If your content does not connect with somebody, we've lost them. So that last one, when I'm saying content that relates, we'll talk a little deeper in it, but it's about making that connection to the ideal client. So educational content, tips, lessons, stories, all of those are really important here. It's going to show a sense of authority that you have a solution and they can follow your steps and they'll get to the solution that you're talking them through. So that's a trust measure, of course, but then you also still want to have content that inspires. So inspires means that you're showing them what's possible. So that can be you showing that you live the results, that you showing them what it feels like to be in a program of yours, to use your product, that you are so in general, it's empowering them to know that there's a different way to live. That it's possible for them. So inspiring them is essentially empowering them to the next step. Relating is being able to understand. So we really don't like to get advice from someone who's never been where we're at. We don't like to receive it. I'll actually kind of get really angry when someone tries to tell us how it is. I don't know if you remember, I feel like it's been over a year ago now, but Kim Kardashian was talking about people just don't want to work. There was that whole quote that went around, and then it had a whole bunch of mixed reactions, but the idea was people were pissed that someone like Kim Kardashian, who we know has come from a certain sense of privilege, was trying to tell all of us that we don't work enough, right? This was again was a video that went across the internet, so we'll give her a benefit of the doubt. She didn't post it directly on her own feed. But the idea was that piece of content did not relate to a lot of people, did not resonate, was not something that made them feel understood whatsoever. So when you are being, at least especially if you're the author of your content, you want to make sure that the people that you're serving, that you're wanting to help, feel understood. So what does this look like? Whenever you are creating content, think about, okay, while I want them, like I'll use myself as an example, while I want them to show up on camera, talk on camera about like, what's possible, like, or like share a little bit piece of your life, feel like it's not that hard to talk to camera on social media. One thing that I could do that would help, would show that I know what it feels like when you're not there yet, was how I went into a completely cold sweat the first time I went on the IG Live. I could use a previous post of mine that wasn't so great, and you want to get here, but you're here, you want to do this, but you have to start from the beginning. Even too, I could talk about how you are always full of ideas. You have 100 ideas and they sit in your notes. Like I could talk about how I know the key problems that come up. I've experienced them and here's how I've overcome them. So it's being able to say, I'm not on a pedestal as a creator. I know where you're at and I want to help you move through it just like I have. So all three of these, if you can have all three of them within your content in some way, shape, or form, you're golden. But the idea is that we want to have content that educates, show us as an authority, that inspires, shows them what's possible, and then relates, shows them that they're understood, seen by the person that's creating this content. So that is your third part of this pyramid here. All right, we're going to keep on moving. Okay, so now knowing that we have all three of those, we want to be able to make sure that our content is actually read, watched, or opened. We'll use emails as an example. So your content needs to call attention to who it's for early. So what that looks like is, of course, hooks. You've heard this, and essentially getting early buy-in from your clients, from your potential clients. This also plays to algorithms trying to find, okay, where should they put this content? Whose eyes should they put in front of it? The SEO of it all. But in general, you want to make sure that within the first 3 seconds, the first few words in the subject line of your email, that there is some type of incentive for that ideal client who's receiving it, who's searching for this type of information, that you've said, hey, 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 this is for you. Listen in, keep watching. I've got more for you here. So you want to do that by thinking about, okay, what words are they searching? How would they define themselves? So if I say entrepreneurs listen in, they're going to be more likely to listen in, or people pleasers, if you have a little trouble, this one's for you. Again, like you're bringing in small ways for someone to go like, well, yeah, that's kind of me. What does she have to say? It's allowing someone to come in the door a little bit more. So making sure that your content calls attention to who it's for early, 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 early. So again, this if we're using Instagram as an example, this is the first few words you say in a reel. This is the title of your carousel. This is the first couple words of your caption. This is also the visual title that's on your reels. All of these are ways in which you're going to hook somebody in to continue to read. LinkedIn is the same way. The first couple words that you're putting in on your text only post, same thing. Your email, like I said, subject lines is a big deal. That's how you're going to get that buy-in. But the idea is, how can you get that early buy-in through a hook so that they continue to watch for a few more seconds so you can continue them through the story that you're wanting to share. Within this, we're gonna go to the next one. So the content that is clear and easy to understand. Good marketing is at a fourth grade reading level. I want you to hear it. Good marketing is at a fourth grade reading level, meaning if a 12-year-old would not understand what you're saying, then it is too complex. Even Neil deGrasse Tyson, who we all know knows a ton of science, keeps it simple for us. That's why we're interested. That's why we're in his world. That's why we want to keep listening to that sultry voice tell us about the universe, right? The idea is that we can understand it. So something that comes up, and especially during the days where I was working with a lot of professors and authors, that was early in my entrepreneurship career, is that I would help them build out their entire book launches. They would want to talk about it like almost like proving their methods in their social media content. They would want their social media content to be a piece of the book, and it would be so over my head as their creator that going like, no one's going to watch this on these, no one's going to watch this. It's too complex to even get into on these social platforms. Whenever you're thinking about how you want to do it, you're trying to give a teaser, a clue, one takeaway that would intrigue them to keep listening. So whenever you're thinking about your content, if you want it to be clear and understood, simplify it. If you tend to take a long time to write a caption, go back through and go, what in this is too complicated? Where can I make sure that the takeaway they walk away from this social media post inspires, educates, or relates in some way? So give value, but don't try to make your social media profiles a book or a way for you to prove that you're more of an expert than the next person. Keep it simple. Act as if you are writing the post for a 12-year-old. Okay. So going even deeper into this, because the idea, a lot of these are in a row are very similar, but they're all about marketing, is you want your content to address the awareness stage of an ideal client, no matter what phase of business you're in. So an awareness stage means that you're talking to someone who's at stage one of whatever problem you're solving. So if I think I like to use this as an example because it's just easier to understand. If I am a fitness trainer and I could help somebody, let's just say for shits and giggles, to do a fitness contest. So let's say that they're going to do Ninja Warrior. I don't know. I just like look, all the competitions are rattling around in my head. We're going to go with Ninja Warrior, okay? And clearly, like they do pull-ups. They're like running. They need to do squats. They have all of these things. But if I'm talking about, okay, for you to get the best time on Ninja Warrior, someone's going to like kind of walk away if it doesn't fit them perfectly. Instead, I'm going to talk about how to do a functional squat. how to incorporate cardio and strength in their day. I want to talk about what it looks like to, you know, build your athleticism. If you need to lose weight, if you need to gain weight, I want to talk about in the simplest terms. I'm not going to talk to somebody who's already in stage 10 of their fitness journey, of their muscle building journey. I want to talk to people at stage 1. Why? Most of the time, no matter if they are at like stage 5 of this process, the same topics are repeated. The same issues are repeated. Like I know that while I'm a recovering people pleaser, I'm going to know that the better, even when I'm getting better at it, when somebody talks about people pleasing, I'll still listen. I'll still listen in for the fact that like, oh, let me hear their perspective. That's not how I did it. That will still appeal to me. I'm still their ideal client. I'm just not ideal for maybe a particular type of offer. So the idea is that your content is going to be heard. The algorithm is going to know what to do with it, but also that you're going to make sure, again, you're not overcomplicating it. So you want to speak to someone at their awareness stage, at that stage 1 of understanding this problem that they need to solve in their lives. Okay. This also plays to the lingo conversation. Don't use lingo. Don't use marketing lingo. Don't like if like for me, like if I don't speak in my social media content. I don't speak in these podcasts, or at least I try not to, in marketing lingo. I'm not, my ideal audience is not other marketers. It's just not. It's other entrepreneurs, other business owners, but I'm the one speaking to you about how to think about marketing, right? You don't want to speak in terms like you would be speaking to a colleague that's at the same level as you, right? So you want to speak what in terms that someone is going to understand. So these three are kind of all roll in together. So make sure your hook is legible and understood by a 12-year-old. Make sure that hook is part of that. Do not put any of your program names or anything in the beginning of it. Don't allow it to be easily understood, but also too, all of your content, make sure it's at that early awareness stage for the client so that they know what to do with it. Okay. All right. Those kind of they're all together, but they're still part of the pyramid. They build on each other. They're still building on each other. All right. Last one here. The 7th principle is content that asks for engagement. Yes. You need to ask people to engage with your content. We do not make decisions on things that unless we're asked. Well, let me pull that back a little bit. Like if we don't know what to do, we don't make a decision. How about that? How about that? So whenever there is a piece of content that is so good that I see in the feed and somebody doesn't tell people what to do and they're not getting comments or they're not getting as many as what they would have, I go, all you had to do was ask. Like just tell them what to do. We are bombarded by tons of decisions all day long. And some are subconscious, some are conscious. So the more that you can say double tap, save this post, drop a comment, people are going to double tap, save the post, and drop a comment. So ask, tell them what to do because they're going to be more likely to do it. This is data backed. This is true. This is how psychology works in general. When you're creating a post, have an idea of what you would like them to do. Say it once, say it twice. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you say it more than once. As long as it's clear, as long as it's simple, make sure you have that in there. All right. Good content. You know what it is now. You know exactly what good content is. No one can tell you what's not good content because I have given you those 7 principles. I want to go back through them really quickly so you understand what the point of each of these principles are. Okay. So we have content that you actually want to create. This is about having better energy and being more genuine in your content creation than if you try to just do some cookie cutter content. You have a want to put the content out there. So content that you want to create has better energy, is more likely to be authentic and genuine. Content that is actually posted is content that's actually been given an opportunity for it to get a reaction, to get you to be visible. So putting out content like that actually allows you to be visible and allows you to get even better in the content creation process. Within this too, content that educates, inspires, or relates. This just gives it a focus. It allows there to be a reason why it's there. It gives it a focus so that in general, you are asking for a particular reaction. Content that calls out the ideal client. You're making sure it has an audience that's ready to listen and learn. Content that is clear and understood means it's actually watched and read, right? We put all this time, it's actually watched and read. Content that is addresses your awareness stage, that people know what it is and they don't feel like they're being talked down to. And content that actually gets engagement. Yes, we're asking for reactions. So these are the 7 principles. Make sure you take a look at this. Now, I know that this could be helpful. I actually have this as a little checklist next to my own content creation. It helps me just to get centered when I'm kind of running through all my ideas. So I decided to make a checklist for you. Really simple, really easy to use, completely free, including all these steps with a little explanation just to help you as you're about to post or as you're about to kind of finish your own content creation process. You'll have this checklist that can help you guide through. So before posting, you can check them off. I enjoy it. I get to like check them off every time. But you get to keep it close as you're doing it. I'll put that in the show notes for you so you have it. Now, a lot of what I'm talking about is everything that I like to include within my sprinter community, which is now brand new and even bigger and so freaking exciting. So I want to offer you the opportunity to have monthly support, to actually put out that content. So this community now is like, again, I've been doing this for over 4 years, having a membership, helping people put out their content. Now it's even more fantastic, even more optimized, essentially kind of what I wanted it to be all along. So I've been putting in a lot of work this year and I want you to feel the benefit of it. So the community is full of opportunity for you to become an expert content creator for your business. Of course, we still have those dedicated sprints so that you get support from me or my support coach, Nicolette, who will help you with video. And within that, you get to also have this community that you get to check in on the days that we're not having sprints, to release fears, to manage your emotions around your nervous system, that of putting yourself out there, getting confident on camera. We have that support. If you want to get more skilled in storytelling or creating video content, there's that. We have lessons and courses built within that you can do at your own leisure. But within that, we also are going to be putting out challenges that help you fast track your skills here. So we have new challenges about every other month. We're going to start with a Reels challenge coming soon. And then in general, there's a selling challenge coming up in a few months as well. We want to make sure you have that. But every week we put in trending audios, we put in things that you guys can use to make sure that that content creation is easier. And of course, the most important part of all of this is that you have the supportive community. So there's clearly an objective. We want you to be a skilled content creators for your businesses, but also too, we're going to have so many other opportunities for you to promote what you're doing, for you to be able to share what you've learned. But in general, we even have a whole space of just recommendations of places to go when I'm in this city. It's truly supposed to be there so that you can lean on this robust community of entrepreneurs to hit your goals. So if you're interested, it's in the bio. I'm giving podcast listeners just a little bit of a exclusive discount right now for you to join on in. Make sure you go and check it out. But I'm so excited. I want you to know as you walk away from this episode that there's no shadow of a doubt. You know exactly what good content is. You have a checklist if you want it in the show notes, but in general, start at the bottom and move your way up. You don't have to include all 7 principles, but start with content you want to create and then content you post. Those first 2 rungs are the foundation to get started. Let me know if you decide to use this episode. Come and talk to me and we'll go from here. Until next time, live a little more limitless.